That's another day. This is dark and this is light, and that makes how many days and how many nights? That's 3 days and 3 nights. So what Joshua told his disciples, he was going to no sign be given except the prophet Jonah, and that's 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. That's a reflection of what Yahweh Elohim did in spirit, bringing out the kingdom of Elohim, being 3 days and 3 nights, and the reflection in the earth plane. Now, we want to get into this tabernacle pattern because this is the purpose and plan by which Yahweh Elohim has the whole creation going by. And okay, Exodus 25 and 8. Try to pick it up where the last speaker left off, because she covered a lot of territory, and she had. Did she get the Egyptians out, the children of Israel out of Egypt yet? He didn't get them out of there, you know. That's what happens. We get into explaining things with, doggone it, we didn't get the children of Israel out of Egypt yet. Exodus, well, maybe we better back up then. So like around Exodus, the 12th verse.
12th chapter?
12th chapter, yeah. Thank you. Because we got the children of Israel down here in Egypt. Remember, Abraham had his son Isaac by promise. This was a child of promise. It was not, because both he and his wife were both over the age of natural childbirth, right? And so they hadn't, but Yahweh had promised him a son that would be an inheritor of the land of Canaan that Yahweh promised to Abraham. Maybe we better go back and get that too. That's in what, Genesis, the 15th chapter?
15 and 18.
Okay. Because Yahweh, by his purpose and plan, brought Abraham out of Ur of Chaldees and then into Hebron and then into Canaan's land. You notice that's a 1, 2, 3 operation, just like the tabernacle pattern is the most holy place, a holy place, and a court roundabout. And remember, this was 3 days and 3 nights up here, and Yahshua was going to be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth by the sign of the prophet Jonah. Go ahead and get Genesis where it talks about the
15 and 13.
Promise given to Abraham. Go ahead.
15 and 5. And he brought him forth abroad and said, Look now toward heaven and count the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, so shall thy seed be. So Yahweh's promising Abraham that he's going to have seed that's more in multitude than the stars of heaven or the sands of the sea. Okay, go ahead. Okay. And he believed in Yahweh, and he counted it to him for righteousness.
Now, wait a minute. Abraham believed Yahweh, and it was counted unto Abraham for righteousness. And now that's also reflected, I think, in Hebrews 11th chapter, where it says the same thing, that by faith Abraham was counted unto him unto righteousness. Go ahead in Genesis.
13. Okay. 13. And he said unto Abram, Know of a surety that thy seed shall be a sojourner in a land that is not theirs.
Now they're going to be a stranger in a land that's not theirs. Go ahead.
And shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years.
Now it's going to afflict his seed or his progeny for 400 years. Yahweh Elohim is prophesying to Abraham here that his seed is going to go down into the land of Egypt and going to serve them for 400 years. Go ahead.
And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge.
Now Yahweh's going to judge the nation that the children of Israel served down here, and he judged Pharaoh and his host in the Red Sea, didn't he? Mm-hmm. And that judgment was pretty strong. That was it. Done them in. Go ahead.
And afterward shall they come out with great substance.
Now then, they're going to come out of here with great substance. Okay, they're going to despoil the Egyptians when they come out of here, because when they came down in here, it was because of a plague that was in the whole land of Canaan up here. And they came down here and they sold everything they had, and finally they had to sell themselves to Pharaoh in order to have food to eat, all right? So that's what happened with the children of Israel, and that's why they're down here in the land of Egypt. Go ahead.
18. And in the same day Yahweh made a covenant with Abram, saying, Unto thy seed have I given this land, from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates.
So he's given that land of Canaan, from the river in Egypt, which is in the Nile, unto the river Euphrates, which you can see it over here on this chart. Here's the Nile down here, and here's the river Euphrates. So all this land right here, Yahweh Elohim has promised to Abraham and his seed. Go ahead.
The Canaanites and the Kezanites and the
Hittite.
Kadamites and Hittites and Perizzites and the Raphim and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgashites and the Jebusites.
Okay. Oh, let's go over to Exodus 12 and start at the first chapter. We got to get these children of Israel. They're down here in this land of Egypt down here, and Yahweh sends 10 devastating plagues upon the land of Egypt down here. And the children of Israel are instructed that they're going to have to kill a lamb and put the blood on the door. Go ahead, Exodus 12 and 1.
12 and 1. And Yahweh spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying.
Now, he's speaking to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt. Now, I want to say something. Is he speaking to Moses and Aaron out of the sky?
No.
Well, how do you usually speak to somebody that you know?
Face to face.
Face to face, as a man speaks to his friend, right? So he's speaking to Yahweh Elohim down here in the land of Egypt. Go ahead.
This month shall be unto you the beginning of months.
Now, this month shall be unto you the beginning of months. He's talking about the month of January, right? No. See how look at how the times and the seasons have been changed all this down through time, okay? Go ahead. This month will be to you the beginning of months. So what month is he talking about? He's talking about the month of Abib, which is roughly equivalent to our month of April. And that's why the 1st of April is called what?
April Fools.
April, you fool. That's the first month of the year, you fool. Go ahead.
It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of this month they shall take to them every man a lamb.
Now, on the 10th day of the month, they're going to take every man a lamb. Go on.
According to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls.
So they can share according to the number of souls. Read on.
Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year.
Now, hold on, because we're setting up an operation and a pattern here that we have to pay attention to. Your lamb will do what? Your lamb will be without blemish?
Without blemish.
Well, that's a type and shadow of Yahshua the Messiah, who's going to be without blemish. Take all the sins of the world upon him. Go ahead.
A male of the first year.
Plus, you're going to take it out on the 10th, and you're going to hold it over for 4 days, right? Just as Yahshua the Messiah was held over 4,000 years from the Garden of Eden back here on this chart, until he came as Yahshua the Messiah down here, held over for 4,000 years, just like the remember it's 2 Peter 3 and 8? The day with Yahweh is 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is a day. All right, so 4 days they're going to hold the lamb over 4,000 years. Yahshua's held over. Read on.
You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goats. And you shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. So
there's the 4 days. It's going to hold it or take it out on the 10th or the 1 and hold it over for 4 days. Go ahead. So they're going to kill it in the between the 2 evenings. What's between 2 evenings?
Night.
Well, isn't the day between 2 evenings? So they're going to take it out and they're going to kill it between the 2 evenings. Go ahead.
You shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening.
So here's the principle. The whole congregation of Israel are going to kill that lamb back here. Remember, Yahshua the Messiah told his disciples he was going to be, he's going to die, bury, and resurrect. And Peter said, oh, this won't happen to you. What did he tell Peter? He said, get behind me, Satan, because, go ahead.
7. And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the 2 side posts and on the upper door posts of the houses wherein they shall eat it.
No, this is happening as a type and shadow of Yahshua the Messiah. They're going to take the blood, and what are they going to do with the blood?
Strike it on the upper door posts.
So they're going to strike it on the upper door post
and the 2 side posts.
And the 2 side posts. And where's the blood coming from? It's the basin that's on the floor, right? and they're going to have some hyssop and dip it in the blood in the basin, and they're going to paint it on the headpost. Oh, they're going to strike it on the headpost. So if you're going to take a bunch of hyssop, which is a weedy substance, and you're going to dip it in blood, and you're going to strike the headpost, where's the blood going?
Everywhere.
It's all over the place, right? And the two side posts. The whole, we made a bloody mess. My wife would have a fit. Go ahead.
8. And they shall eat the flesh in the night, roast with fire. And
Now they're going to
unleavened bread.
roast that flesh with fire, just like Yahshua was roasted when he was on the cross back here, when they came up there and said, hey, you saved all these people. Come on, get down off that cross by yourself. No, they roasted him back here. Go ahead.
And they shall eat the flesh in that night, with roast with fire and unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it.
So here he's establishing the Passover down here in the land of Egypt, down here, okay? And these children of Israel have to do this on the 10th and hold it over to the 14th and the next day. They're supposed to eat it with the shoes on their feet and the staff in their hand, because they're supposed to be ready to go, right? Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Eat not of it raw, nor sodden at all with water.
No.
But roast with fire, his head with his legs, and with the purtenance thereof.
And that's how they're supposed to roast that lamb, with fire. Go ahead.
And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning.
No, you can't have anything left over of that lamb until the morning. What is left over, you're supposed to burn with fire. Just like Yahshua the Messiah, when he went into the tomb back, Joseph's new tomb back here, they came on the next to find him and anoint him, and his body had disappeared. It was gone, was consumed. Go ahead.
And you shall let nothing of it remain until the morning, and that which remaineth of it until the morning ye shall burn with fire. And thus shall you eat it, with your loins girded, your shoes on your feet, and your staff in your hand.
So the principle that we're seeing down here with these children of Israel with this Passover is the death of the lamb. Now, we want to look at, according to the tabernacle pattern, is how that death goes across the elementary chart here, because you can see in the tabernacle pattern we have a brazen altar of sin sacrifice, all right? And that's where the principle of death is. And then we have a laver to wash the sacrifice, and the priests to wash themselves before they could minister into the holy place back here. So we have a death, we have a burial, and then we have an anointing of the high priest once at the beginning of his ministry by the holy anointing oil down here, so that he could operate within the holy place and the most holy place on the Day of Atonement. So we have a death, a burial, and a type of a resurrection. Okay, so we want to look at these principles on this chart. If we come down here, we're talking about Moses and the children of Israel. They had to sacrifice that lamb and put the blood on the lintel and the two side posts of the door from the basin of blood. They have a type of a death right there. Then they had a 3-day journey to and through the divided waters of the Red Sea. Get 1 Corinthians 10 and 1 through 4, please.
1 Corinthians 10 and 1. Moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, that all our fathers were under the cloud.
All our fathers were under the cloud and all passed through the sea. Go ahead.
And were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea.
Now, baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea. In other words, they were immersed in the cloud and in the sea. This is a type of so there's a death of the lamb down here, and there's a burial into the Red Sea. Go ahead.
And were all baptized, and did all eat and drink the same spiritual food, and did all eat the same spiritual food, and did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that led them, and that rock was the Messiah.
So the rock that led them was the Messiah back here. So we're looking at a death of the lamb, a burial, and a resurrection into the wilderness of Sinai. So that's a death, a burial, and a resurrection. Following this death, burial, and resurrection. Precept upon precept, line upon line. Isaiah, what is that? 28, 9 and 10. Now we want to keep our eye on the operation of this pattern. So we're looking back here to the Abraham and King Melchizedek, and Abraham was told to sacrifice his son Isaac, his only son Isaac. So being faithful and obedient to Yahweh Elohim, he takes the lad out to kill him. What is that? Exodus 22, 1 through 4. Get Isaiah first.
Yep. Isaiah 28:9.
Uh-huh.
Whom shall he teach knowledge?
So who is Yahweh going to teach knowledge? And knowledge is an important thing to have. Matthew 11 and 29. Because we're not down here. See, this is a school that we were entered into here, where the whole point is to learn something about Yahweh Elohim as he really is and actually exists, and his son Yahshua the Messiah. Okay, so the knowledge is the thing that we're after down here. We're not down here worshiping Yahweh with our hands, right? The church on the corner with the big steeple and all that. That's not where we're at. Go ahead and read.
Matthew 10 and 29, you said?
11.
11 and 29.
I think it's 27.
Take my yoke upon you
Yeah.
and learn of me.
Now this is Yahshua's words back here. He didn't say, give your money to the church or worship in the church of your choice. That's not what he said. Okay? This is what he did, the words of him, because there's a red letter edition.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Take my yoke upon you and learn of me.
Now he said to take my yoke upon you and to learn of him. Get some knowledge. Learn of him. Go on.
For I am meek and lowly in heart,
Uh-huh.
and ye shall find rest unto your souls.
So we want to have some knowledge and understanding of Yahweh and his purpose and plan. Go back to Isaiah 28.
And 9. Whom shall he teach knowledge?
So who's he going to teach this knowledge? Just anybody? Everybody? It's available. If you come in here and sit down, it's available to everybody. This is an open school. Come on down. Go ahead.
And whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
Now, who's he going to make to understand doctrine? Go ahead.
Those who are weaned from the milk.
Now, here he is speaking in allegories, just like the Messiah spoke in parables back here during his ministration on the earth plane. Whom shall he teach knowledge? Whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk.
And drawn from the breast.
Is he talking about breastfed babies here?
He's talking about
No. What does he mean, weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast? For the milk of the word, you see, is back here. It's right up here. Isaiah. Where would I see it? Isaiah
28:9.
28:9. See, the milk is the law. And drawn from the breast. We're talking about the law and the prophets. It's where we're getting it from. Go ahead.
For precept must be upon precept.
For precept or principle must be upon principle. What are we talking about? We're talking about death, burial, and resurrection down here. Well, we have a principle of death, and then a principle of burial, and then a principle of resurrection, the high priest resurrecting into the most holy place. Okay, so we have a death, a burial, and a resurrection. So the principle of death goes all the way on down to Adam, and we'll go back in and get that. And then the principle of burial goes all the way on down. This is Yahweh's purpose and plan and his operation for salvation. All right, go ahead.
Precept upon precept. Line upon line.
Now it's going to be precept upon precept.
Precept upon precept.
Precept upon precept. So how many points does it take to make a line, mathematicians?
2.
2 points to make a line, right? So we have a principle of death here, a principle of death here. Now line, that makes a line. Line upon line, line upon line. Read on.
Here a little.
Here a little.
And there a little.
And there a little. What do you mean? Here a little in the law, there a little in the testimony. Read on.
For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
Stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people. All right, go back to where we're looking at the death, burial, and resurrection. The death of the Lamb, the burial of the children of Israel in the Red Sea, and the resurrection into the holy place or the wilderness of Sinai. Now go back to Genesis, 22, 1 through 14.
Yep.
Where Abraham is instructed to take his son, his only son, who was a child of promise. So he'd take him up and sacrifice his son. And Abraham was just plain obedient because he believed Yahweh and it was counted unto him for righteousness. Go ahead.
Genesis 22:1. And it came to pass after these things that Elohim did test Abraham and said unto him, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I. And he said, Take now thy son, thine only son Isaac,
Now take your son, your only son Isaac, read on,
whom thou lovest, and get thee into the land of Moriah, and offer him there for a burnt offering upon one of the mountains which
Now-
I will tell thee of.
mothers and fathers with your own children in here. Wouldn't that kind of strike you as kind of drastic?
Oh, yeah.
Take your son, and this is his only son by his wife Sarah, his beloved son. Take your son out and sacrifice him. Say what? Abraham didn't say what. Abraham said, okay. Faithful Abraham. Read on.
And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and saddled his ass, and took 2 of his young men with him.
See, that's kind of funny. He didn't debate with Yahweh Elohim what to do here. Like he debated with Yahweh Elohim about Yahweh Elohim going to Sodom and Gomorrah, if there be 10 righteous or 1 righteous. He debated with him a little bit until it got down to where if there was 1 righteous, he wouldn't destroy it, right? Well, there's no debate about what's going on here with Isaac. Go on.
And he took 2 of his young men with him, and Isaac his son, and cut the wood up for a burnt offering, and rose up, and went into the place which Elohim had told him. And on the 3rd day Abraham lifted up his eyes, and he saw the place afar off.
Of course, it's a 3-day journey, just like it's a 3-day journey back here with the children of Israel from the land of Egypt into the Red Sea. It's a 3-day journey till Abraham gets to where he's going. Go ahead.
And Abraham said unto his young men, Abide ye here with the ass, and I and the lad will go yonder and worship, and come again to you. And Abraham took the wood of the burnt offering, and laid it upon Isaac his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and they went both of them together.
So he put the wood on his son. Well, here he's down here, Joshua the Messiah is going to put, Yahweh's putting his son on the wood. Okay, see the principle? Go ahead.
And Isaac spoke to Abraham his father, and said, My father. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Behold the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for a burnt offering?
Now, why would Isaac ask that? Because obviously they've done this before, right? That Abraham has offered up a lamb on the wood before. That Isaac is familiar with that. Now he's going, wait a minute, Dad. Here's the wood, and here's the fire. Where's the sacrifice? Go ahead.
And Abraham said, My son, Elohim will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering.
Now he said, my son Elohim will provide himself a lamb. Who did Elohim provide for himself a lamb? His own son, Yahshua the Messiah, he provided for a lamb, Yahweh, who's going to be sacrificed down here for the sins of the world, just like Abraham was instructed, or the children of Israel sacrificed this lamb here, and that's the principle of death. So Abraham's being instructed here to kill Isaac, and that's a principle of death. Read on.
So they went both of them together, and they came to the place which Elohim had told him of, and Abraham built an altar there, and laid the wood in order, and bound Isaac, his son, and laid him on the altar upon the wood.
So there he is, laying his son upon the altar of the wood, just like Yahshua the Messiah was laid on the wood down here for his death. Go ahead.
And Abraham stretched forth his hand, and took the knife to slay his son. And the angel of Yahweh called unto him out of heaven, and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here am I. And he said, Lay not thine hand upon the lad, neither do thou anything unto him. For now I know that thou fearest Elohim, seeing he has not withheld thy son, thine only son, from me.
So Yahweh Elohim sent an angel down here to stop Abraham from killing his son. But the principle that we're going to see is that Abraham had Isaac dead, buried, and resurrected in his mind up here, because he knew that if Yahweh could raise a child from his loins at his old age, that he would certainly raise him from the dead if he followed him like that. So we're looking at a principle of death, a burial, and a resurrection. Now also we have this ram caught in a thicket when the angel stays Abraham's hand from killing Isaac back here. We have a ram that's caught in the thicket by his 2 horns, just like Yahshua the Messiah is caught by the law and the prophets down here to be the resurrected Yahshua down here, okay? So we have a death, a burial, and a resurrection here. Now we move on down here to the Noah preparation entering the ark. Ezekiel 33 and 4. First get Genesis, 6, where it says the state of the earth at that time was just evil before them. Sounds like today, doesn't it?
Yep.
How many times do you turn the news on and you ever watch the evening news? It's always the same thing. Somebody shot somebody shot this up, how often can we hear the same thing like that? Go ahead.
Genesis 6 and 3. And Yahweh said, my spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he is also flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years.
No, that's not what I
And
was
it
looking-
repented Yahweh that he made man in the earth, and it grieved him in his heart. And Yahweh said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth,
He's
both
going to
man,
destroy man from the face of the earth. Go ahead.
both man and beast, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repenteth me that I have made them.
Uh-huh.
But Noah found grace in the eyes of Yahweh.
Where does it say where the condition of the heart of man was only evil continually?
And 5. And Yahweh
Okay.
saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth.
Now
and,
he saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth. Go ahead. And it
And that-
repented him that he had made man in the earth plane. Go ahead.
and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart
Wait, that's a big set of that. Every imagination of the thought of his heart, thoughts of his heart, was only evil continuously. Go ahead.
And it repented Yahweh that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart.
Okay, so that's the state and condition of mankind's heart and mind back here, that Yahweh repented that he made man on the earth because it was only evil continually. Ezekiel 33 and 4.
Then whosoever heareth the sound of the trumpet, and taketh not warning, if the sword come and take him away, his blood shall be upon his own head.
So Yahweh got in touch with Noah back here, found that Noah was a goodly man, just like Moses was a goodly child back here, see? And Yahweh gave him a vision and a revelation that he was going to destroy the earth with water. Genesis 6 and 11. Well, go to Genesis 7, 16 through 24. So he gave
7 and 16.
Gave Noah a vision and a revelation back here of not only how to build the ark, but the instructions of how to build the ark. And the ark was built like the tabernacle pattern is. It's got a upper deck, a middle deck, and a lower deck. It's 3 parts, just one ark, just like the tabernacle is the most holy place, and a court round about. Now, so Noah, a preacher of the gospel back here, had a vision and a revelation. It took 120 years for him to build this ark. All that time, Noah is warning the people that he's preaching that that's going to be the end. It's going to end the world with water and a flood. And he preached that for 120 years back here. So we got the wicked who are warned, because if you hear the trumpet sound and you take not warning, then the blood's on your own head. Okay? So look at this. This is the gospel of Yahshua the Messiah, brought to us by a vision and a revelation from Dr. Henry C. Kinley. This is the trumpet sounding, folks. Now it's up to you to get in class and learn all you can for your own salvation, or it's your own destruction if you don't. The blood's going to be on your own head. So we have a principle of death, and then we have a principle of burial, because the whole world was buried when the floodgates opened up back here. It rained for 40 days and 40 nights, right? And they people had never seen rain before, so we have a death, a burial, and the ark resurrected upon the waters. Okay? And they were in the ark for a year and 10 days before the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat. All right, so that's a death, a burial, and a resurrection. Now we come down here to the transgression plate with Adam and Eve in the garden back here. get the what he's told Adam back here at the Genesis, what is it, the 2nd chapter, of every tree of the garden you may freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil you shall not eat of it.
2:15,
Okay.
King James Version, or 2:16, King James Version. And Yahweh Elohim commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat.
So he said, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. Read on.
But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
So he got promised of death back here if he takes and he eats from the knowledge of the tree of knowledge of good and evils. So we know that Genesis 3:1.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which Yahweh Elohim had made. And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, do you really believe for 1 minute that Eve is talking to a serpent?
No.
Talking to a snake? Because that's the way they depict it in children's cartoons and stuff, you know, that the Christian, they teach that Eve was talking to a snake. Well, that's not the way it is. This is a product of Moses' vision in the mount, his second trip in the mount back here, when he went up and saw Yahweh Elohim transform into a thoroughly furnished tabernacle. Then he viewed the 7 days of creation during his second trip into the mount for 40 days. So there's 7 days of that. And then there's 33 days where he's instructed on how to build this tabernacle. All right, but at the end of the 7 days there, he sees the vision of the creation. He leaves Adam and Eve are in the garden at rest. Okay? But so then Genesis 3:1. Go ahead, start over.
Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field.
So Moses is seeing in a vision back here, and he's having this transcribed when he comes down from the mount after his vision and revelation. He says this is a serpent. Well, what he's seeing is the attributes of this mystery of iniquity down here. All right? He's seeing the attributes of the mystery of iniquity, who's the father of lies and has been sent a strong delusion. He's the God of this world, the anointed cherub, and you see the snakes down here. All right? Well, we also know that when Moses went before Pharaoh and cast down his rod, and his rod turned into a serpent, that Jannes and Jambres did the same thing. Except for one thing, Moses' serpent swallowed up Jannes and Jambres' serpent, took that power away from Jannes and Jambres. So now down here in the Garden of Eden, the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field that Yahweh Elohim had made. Go ahead.
And he said unto the woman, Yea, hath Elohim said, Ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden?
Now, hey, woman, aren't you supposed to eat of every tree of the garden? Well, is that what Yahweh Elohim said? You may eat of every tree of the garden, but of the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Go ahead.
And the woman said unto the serpent, We may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden.
Okay, yeah, we may eat of it. All right.
But of the fruit of the tree, which is in the midst of the garden.
Wait a minute. How did she know it was the fruit of the tree in the midst of the garden? That's not in what Yahweh told Adam back there. Go ahead.
Elohim has said, Ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest
It doesn't.
ye die.
Wait. Where does it say you won't touch it? He's pulling the wool over her eyes here and deceiving her. Go ahead.
And the serpent said unto the woman, Ye shall not surely die.
How does he know that? Ye shall not surely die. Wait a minute. Yahweh said you'd die if you eat of that tree, and the serpent says you won't really die. Go ahead.
For Elohim doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as Elohim, knowing good and evil. And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that the tree was pleasant to the eyes, and a tree desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof, and did eat, and also gave unto her husband with her, and he did eat.
Now, we're looking for a death, a burial, and a resurrection here, following the principles that are laid down by the tabernacle pattern and Moses' vision and Yahshua the Messiah. So we're looking for, she did eat, being deceived by the serpent, she did eat, and gave unto her husband, and he did eat. And what happened to them? Didn't it tell them that they died? Well, wait a minute. Did they drop over dead right there on the spot? So it wasn't poison fruit, was it? No, was it? What do you mean they died? They died right here in their conscience. That's where they died. You see Adam here with his hands over his face and all. So we have a type of a death with a burial in their death in their conscience. Go ahead.
And excuse me. And the serpent.
Of course, 930 years later, Adam died in his flesh and went back to the ground. Go ahead.
For Elohim doth know. Oh, actually, I'm there. And the eyes of them were both opened. And they knew that they were naked.
Wait a minute. They were naked already before. They didn't know they were naked? No, now their eyes are open to the flesh. See? Go ahead.
And they sewed fig leaves together.
Now they did what? They sewed fig leaves together. So that's a type and shadow or a figure that they sewed together. Read on.
And made themselves aprons.
And made themselves aprons. Go on.
And they heard the voice of Yahweh Elohim walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And Adam and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yahweh Elohim among the trees of the garden. And Yahweh Elohim called unto Adam and said unto him, Where art thou? Okay, so we have their death here in their conscience, and the burial here is their condemnation. All right, they're condemned now in their minds. So we have a death and a burial, and we have a resurrection because Eve was promised. Go to Genesis 3:15. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed.
So we're going to put enmity. What's the enmity?
Deep-seated.
Great hatred between thy seed and her seed. Read on.
And he shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise his heel.
Now, he's going to bruise his head, and thou shalt bruise his heel. Now, how are you doing that? Well, by Yahshua the Messiah stamping out the serpent, he's going to bruise the serpent's head, but he's going to bruise his heel in doing that, okay? So we're looking at a death, a burial, and a resurrection. And we're following this all the way on down to this one who really it's all about is Yahshua the Messiah, because he has a death and a burial, and he's resurrected the third day. And okay, so that's the principles we want to follow to learn something about Yahweh as he really is and actually exists. Thank you very much.
We did it. You can do it. I knew you could. Thank you, Dr. Craig. That brings a close to our class for today. I hope everybody enjoyed that. Class announcements are as follows. Classes are held every Wednesday and Friday from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. and Sundays 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. Our after-class question and answer period is the third Friday of each month. I'm sorry I don't know what that date is for November. I forgot to look it up, but I will next class. Members and ministers, we ask that you come to class, be on time, dress appropriately so that you may be called as speakers. Excuse me, just forgot this. Lansing class, the Pattern of the Universe, is having their 50th year celebration, the Spiritual Jubilee. Join us to learn of Yahweh's magnificent spiritual jubilee very soon to come. There will be 3 days of class sessions, Friday, November 10th, Saturday, November 11th, and Sunday, November 12th. Location is yet to be determined. If you are willing to come, please RSVP to Dr. Terry Welsh at tjwelsh@sbcglobal.net. And officers, there is a brief meeting after class, so don't depart. That concludes our announcements. Let's rise for the doxology so that we may be dismissed. I will be quoting the last 2 verses of the book of Jude from the Holy Name Bible. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy. To the only wise Elohim, our Savior, through Yahshua the Messiah, our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both before all time and now and ever. Let us all jointly say, Hallelujah.
There was this mountain, so high I could not climb. For every step that I would take forward, Satan put me 3 steps behind. And there was this river, so deep I thought I'd drown. Then a voice touched my soul oh so gently. It was Yahshua when I cried out. He said, peace, be still, child, and let me lift you over. He said, peace, be still, child. Let me make you my soldier for truth. It's such beauty, yeah, yeah. Wear it as your armor. He said, peace, be still, child, and let me lift you over and over and over and over. Troubles on my right side and loneliness to my left. I didn't think I belonged anywhere. I even cried when I slept. The burdens got so heavy, and I changed my name to despair. In the darkness came a light, and someone standing there, my Savior and his glory. I ran for comfort when he said, peace, be still, child, and let me lift you over. He said, peace, be still, child. Let me make you my soldier for true. It's such beauty, yeah, yeah. Wear it as your armor. He said, peace, be still, child, and let me lift you over and over and over and over. You should open, shut and knock at your door. I did, and I know just what I'm pressing towards. I'm so glad I turned aside to see this great, great sight. All his sheep know his voice. From the beginning I had no choice. I'm so glad. I'm so glad. He said, peace, be still.